Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Now I know that for a lot of the people that watch these videos that I make, um, you might have noticed that there's a lot of Michigan coverage lately. Well, clearly that's because I live in Michigan, and there's just a lot of things happening, man. Let's face it. We just did something that we've been trying to do for like 40 years or more here, legalizing weed. And like I always say, 40 years ago, or not quite that long ago, I'm not that old. But, from the very first time when I thought about why is this illegal, I couldn't imagine what legal marijuana was going to look like. I have no idea what we were facing, how things would evolve from, quite frankly, what was going on in the 80s till now. Um, and I was there when California legalized medical marijuana, all the way till when we just legalized marijuana in Michigan. So I never imagined there would be dispensaries. I always probably envisioned some kind of a corporate type marijuana rollout. Like one day the government was just going to be like, oh, you know what, marijuana is legal, and guess what, Marlboro sells it now. That's pretty much what I thought. And maybe you could go to the store and buy it in bulk, and that nobody would get arrested for growing it, because we could all coexist in a world where you can grow your own weed, and meanwhile they can sell weed commercially if they want to too. You know, but what's going on now is this corporate takeover. And when I say take over, I mean they're trying to take it over from the old existing way, which was home growing or importing it from foreign countries, um, where people were, I guess, a little braver and grew it themselves. So now that we have all that out of the way, I just wanted to clear that up. And I guess another thing I could say is there really isn't much else going on. I haven't really been too compelled to make any clips. I like to stick to like things that are basically historic things that are happening, and quite frankly, I'm just trying to take a little break. It's been really hectic around here lately, and pretty much in the last 6 months, I've been really busy doing just basically everything that I usually do, and it's just a lot, man. So just bear with me. I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna keep making videos as things happen, and I look at this as like the calm before the storm, because now we have, um, hopefully, things are going to start happening. Like we had all these obstructionists that just got basically kicked out of Washington. So let's see how that goes when January rolls around, and I'm sure I'll be making a lot of clips. We haven't heard from the Cannabis Caucus in a while, and now we don't. Now we have people in positions that will be able to let marijuana bills go to the floor for debate, go for a vote. So we'll see what happens, man. Uh, am I expecting anybody to pull out a clean deschedule anytime soon? No, that's never going to happen. Not on the federal level. But what I am hoping for is on December 12th, we have Alexis Bortel and Mr. Washington and several others that are suing the Department of Justice. This is the appeals court case that basically, from what I understand, appeals court just rules as to whether or not the ruling from the original court is basically even is good or not. Like, was what they're ruling, was that any reason to let that stand? And I'm pretty sure they're going to find that no, there wasn't. That ruling was bogus, and that this case is going to move forward to the Supreme Court, where hopefully it'll get taken up soon. But I think it will get taken up because, I mean, it's one of the most important issues of our time. We have now 10 states plus Washington, D.C., that have legalized marijuana in the face of the federal government, who still hold marijuana as being the most dangerous substance known to man. You know, so there's all kinds of stories on the horizon. I'm sure I'm going to be doing a story about that, and um, you know, I guess one other thing that I haven't really been thinking about too much lately, but for sure, there's the Utah situation. I'm hesitant to make a clip about the compromise bill that had been passed. I think everybody knows how I feel about that. But I'm sure there will be something that compels me to revisit that story and the situation in Missouri. So those things are kind of weighing in on my mind as far as like whether when to spring like the clip that says that they actually legalized medical marijuana or whatever. So we'll get to all that. Don't worry. I might just do some kind of like a update clip. But now that you're here and you've been here for 5 minutes, let's talk about this Michigan thing, because this is the last day that marijuana possession and growing of 12 plants or less is illegal in Michigan. That's pretty interesting. But a lot of people out there, I guess, but this is it strikes me as kind of funny because the headline here is people are on their own to find marijuana when it becomes legal Thursday. This is another example of, nothing new under the sun. Like, we have been smoking weed in Michigan unabashedly, just pretty much all the way through Prohibition. Like, nobody cared. You can pretty much get it anywhere. There's no such thing as a town that doesn't have at least one person in it that sells weed. It's not that hard to find, all right? And guess what? Now that there's a thing in black and white on a piece of paper somewhere that says it's illegal, it's still illegal to sell weed. Oh, that's a big surprise. No one ever thought for 1 second that we were ever going to be able to pass any kind of a law that said that just the average person could sell weed, because basically that is where you get like the people that think that I guess the saying that they go with is money don't grow on trees. Well, I have an answer to that: tomatoes. So it's another one of those commodities that is over the price of it is overblown for many reasons, and the one that they're gonna keep alive as long as possible is the black market. As long as there's some kind of a boogeyman out there keeping prices at $10 a gram, they're going to make all their profit. They're going to make all their tax money. They're going to get their projections, and their shareholders will be happy. So, I talk about this all the time. And now I guess there's some real concern, because I have heard people. Now, a lot of people I know basically have a medical marijuana card and are serious about using marijuana as medicine, because it's very much what it is. So when it comes to this whole idea that people over the age of 21 all of a sudden are going to be compelled to go buy weed even though they never smoked it before is a little bit baffling to me. I don't think that's really something that happens. And in Michigan, people are pretty solidly entrenched in their position on whether or not smoking weed is something they want to do, and whether or not they like people that smoke weed or not. It's pretty, it's bad. Like, you got people that straight up hate people that smoke weed, and then you got people that don't smoke weed but don't mind. They obviously think it's not that big of a deal, and they don't make a fuss about it. It's just the people that hate it, they're never going to stop hating it. They're never going to stop hating people that smoke it. I think I was tweeting against some prohibitionists a couple of days ago, and that's basically what I said. I said, man, you guys just hate us. It really has nothing to do with the substance itself. You just hate people that use marijuana, and you hate marijuana for, I don't know, making people use critical thinking and threatening your job. Because all these prohibitionists, let's face it, for one way or another, they're trying to prop up some kind of thing that exists only because of the prohibition of marijuana. And a lot of it is these rehab places that I will be finishing up a video about not too long from now. And then these for-profit forced rehab places their bread and butter is kids getting caught with weed. It's a fact, and they'll do anything they can to protect their industry. Let me go ahead and read this really quick because there's some important stuff in here that you might want to know. And this is by Amy Biolchini. I'm terrible at pronouncing names, so sorry. So marijuana becomes legal on Thursday, December 6th, for adults over 21. Getting it will still be difficult unless you know someone. That's because retail sales of recreational marijuana won't start for at least a year, as the state has to come up with rules and licensing program for businesses. Licensed medical marijuana businesses are only allowed to sell their medical products to card-carrying patients. People are on their own, said Matt Abel, a cannabis lawyer and founding partner at Cannabis Council in Detroit, who is one of the authors of the law. So how does one obtain marijuana Thursday? Gifts. Now, a lot of people have opinions about Matt Abel and cannabis lawyers in general, and the fact that they had a lot to do with the language of this new law, and the fact that they're they're transitioning as well. They're transitioning from defending people for marijuana crimes, which, if you've ever got caught with marijuana and had to pay for a lawyer, it's not cheap. That's one of the best gigs in being a lawyer. So I don't know. I mean, I appreciate everything I've ever heard from Matt Abel as far as his activism goes. So I can't say for sure. But if my back was against the wall and I needed a lawyer, it would suck because they got you over a barrel. I mean, it's almost as if the system is set up to enrich certain lawyers, and it was more true than before. Now they're going to have more of a stick in legal wranglings of people trying to open businesses and stuff. So who knows? But there's still going to be a lot of work in people that get arrested for so-called marijuana crimes. Anyway, back to this gifting thing. The Michigan Regulation and Taxation of Marijuana Act, the law that Prop 1 became once voters approved it, allows individuals to gift up to 2.5 ounces of the smokable marijuana flower and give up to 15 grams of marijuana concentrates to others, said Matt Swake, Deputy Director of Marijuana Policy Product in Washington, D.C. That's a considerable amount of marijuana, enough flour to roll 70-gram size joints, according to the Michigan State Police. Why do we ask them? Why do we care what they say about joints and weed? I mean, it's annoying. Gifts of marijuana in Michigan Thursday will be the product that was illegal to possess or grow the day before. So that begs the question, where would any marijuana come from on Thursday? The only people that are allowed to grow it currently are caregivers. And last time I checked, they're only allowed to distribute that to the people who are their actual patient. So unless something changes there, we're in for the same old thing as always. People are going to get weed wherever they get it, and this changes nothing for the black market, if that's what you want to call it. I'm only calling it that because that's what they have identified it as. I don't like that because it ties marijuana sales that are off their regulatory books. It ties that directly in with the same market where people buy illegal guns, just you name it. Like you got your fencing operations to sell stolen property. That's what a black market is. A black market is truly like there for contraband and illegal transactions, not necessarily marijuana. We're trying to separate marijuana from that in people's minds and really in reality. So anyway, however, questions remain over whether medical marijuana patients can gift marijuana to non-patients or if caregivers can gift marijuana to people who aren't their patients, Abel said, noting the answers to some of these questions could either be decided through an advisory from the state attorney general or through future court cases. So, and then it goes on to say how Bill Schuette's office is not providing any legal interpretation of the law to the media, and any advice given by the Attorney General's office to another state agency is protected by attorney-client privilege. So Schuette's going to take a pass on that one. But Dana Nessel coming in seems like she's a little bit more open to maybe doing something for us on that one. So maybe when she gets sworn in a couple weeks from now, we can talk about maybe, I don't know. I don't know who has her ear. I'm not sure how to get that one through, but we need to know. You know, I mean, obviously Amy has some connections. She got a statement from Bill Schuette. Maybe we can get one from Dana, because that's important shit. That's like one of the most important things I can think of. Can a caregiver, maybe Dana can say, you know what, if you're a caregiver, you can gift some of your overage, since now you can't sell it, because I believe we have until about February or something like that to be able to sell our overage to just first dispensaries, and then we can do sales to processors and growers that have licenses, which is weird because that's probably just a temporary rule, and we won't even be able to do that after March. So what are we going to do with all our overage? I think the obvious thing is that we should be able to gift our overage to whoever wants it. That would make a lot more sense, wouldn't it? That would kind of piss them off because it would disrupt the market in a major way, but at the same time, we can't. What are we going to start doing? Arresting people for giving weed to somebody else just because they're a caregiver? And meanwhile, somebody else can grow 12 plants, but they can't gift it? And as a helicopter flies over my house. Yeah, unreasonably low. I'm like, that's why I'm waiting to talk anymore, because I can barely hear myself think. Anyway, back to the article. So Abel says I would suggest that people start growing their plants as soon as possible. That's the answer to this problem. It takes about 6 months to get a plant from clone or seed to actual smokable bud. So and that begs another question. Where does one obtain or buy seeds legally? Now we've heard from David Harns himself. We got a quote down here. Anyway, recreational law does not provide any mechanism to purchase seed. Technically, fertile seeds are considered to be marijuana in Michigan. David Harns, spokesman for the Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs. In the medical marijuana system, fertile seeds can be sold or licensed as medical growers to licensed medical provisioning centers, who in turn can sell them to card-carrying patients or caregivers, Harns said. That does not mean medical provisioning centers can sell fertile seeds to just anyone. There are also online seed banks, but if that business is not based in Michigan, any purchase and shipment of marijuana seeds over state lines would be breaking federal law, Abel said. Now you can take that advice on the hip or whatever, but that's how people have been getting seeds in Michigan for as long as I can remember. I mean, is it legal? Probably not. But what is it? It's just a seed. You're telling me that that's such a big deal? Like, we used to order seeds from, Amsterdam, Canada, you name it, Morocco. There'd be what you call runners who just ran around and collected seeds all over Europe and then set up seed banks. But all that's illegal now. All that's going to be scrutinized more? Is that what you're saying? Like, somehow people can't figure it out on their own, and it's just seeds. So when you get caught doing it, by the way, I have got caught from customs now too many times trying to get seeds shipped in. So I can't even use customs anymore. But did they come to my house and kick the door in and throw me in prison for buying seeds? No. It's probably not the best idea if you're doing something illegal. So I'm not out there trying to tell you, hey, go do all this illegal stuff. I'm just criticizing this this notion that this is all really hard to do. I mean, maybe there's some people out there that don't know anything about any of this. So, I don't know. He said this is going to be a slow rollout. There are some people who thought all our problems are going to be over tomorrow. It's not the end. It's the end of the beginning. Well, what was so hard about writing the law so that we could have made sense out of some of these things? For example, I'm a caregiver. Why can't I just give plants to just any old person that I see? I don't see why not. It doesn't make any sense at all. Why I can't just go give some clones to somebody that wants to grow 12 plants or seeds. I'm a breeder. I just made thousands of seeds. You tell me I can't just dump these seeds off on the corner and people just grab them like Acme free bird seed on the Roadrunner? Anyway, patients should keep their medical marijuana cards, Abel said. That's because the retail sales of recreational marijuana won't start until after December of 2019 when the state starts offering licenses to recreational businesses. Also, retail taxes will be lower on medical marijuana. Medical marijuana isn't subject to the 10% excise tax that will be applied to the recreational. 3% excise tax on medical products will be phased out on or around March 9th, 2019 under a provision in the Medical Marijuana Facilities Licensing Act. Well, there you have it. So it's just a big mess, apparently. And I don't know if anybody out there thinks that they're going to have any problems finding plants or seeds or buds or concentrates or whatever. Yeah, I don't know if you live in Michigan. Like, it doesn't, I don't think that's really an issue in Michigan. And yeah, I'm not going to try to keep you for too much longer here. But like I said at the beginning of the clip, is I got a lot of things on the burner, and expect more soon. Have a good one, and tomorrow, man, find yourself a weed party if any of them still are happening, and go celebrate, I guess, because tomorrow, on Thursday, December 6th, 2018, possession of marijuana is not going to be illegal. Up to 2.5 ounces. And guess what? When they say marijuana is seeds is marijuana, 2.5 ounces of seeds is thousands of them. Get growing. Get out there and get growing.